It's about empowering people and giving them an opportunity to get work or to start their own business or to find a way of being able to become independent.
Kay, I am so excited and happy to see you. We're launching our show this week that is the new PBS version of the episode that we did with you, whatever it was, I think 2.5 years ago. So much has changed where you are. Bring us up to date and just start by tell our audience, who you are and where are we?
So I'm Kay Johnson, I'm director of the Larder, and here we are in the Larder Cafe. We took over this premises in the centre of Preston about 18 months ago now. So we do lots of different food related, accredited and non-accredited courses, trying to get people, help them into work. We do food hygiene courses for Syrian refugees, and we have fantastic volunteers that work here. It's a real hub for the community.
I'm so excited to see you, Kay. I almost am beside myself. And I can't wait for our audience to get a little update from you on the so-called Preston model. What's happened in the last couple of years there in Preston generally, and then we really want to hear about the Larder, which is clearly up and running.
I feel like I've been in the Larder bubble, so it's really difficult for me to explain what's been happening in the rest of Preston. I know that Matthew has been really busy and others really focusing on trying to support others to set up cooperatives. And I know that there are now a couple more workers' cooperatives, which is great. I think people are now in Preston starting to really feel that they understand a little bit more about what community wealth building is and see that it's a much better way of working. And I'm finding certainly from my point of view, people are much more willing to collaborate and have conversations and work together. Certainly over the last 6 months as well, I think that's really, for me, over the last 6 months, I would say that the initial shock of feeling like I was going to lose the business, I feel like we will be bigger and better when we go through this because of the partnerships that we've made and the kind of close working relationships we now have with other organisations.
Well, so let's talk about that. I mean, many places like Preston that have been hard on their luck, that have been deindustrialized, that have had years of austerity going back to the Great Recession, have really, really taken a hit from the COVID pandemic. How did Preston fare in comparison to others in your view, and what difference did your culture that you've built make?
I've really kind of been focusing on trying to develop a solution and adapt to what's been happening. I do speak to a lot of colleagues that are trying to work nationally, and there's a lot of different stories that I'm getting about how councils have supported organisations in other areas. From my understanding about what's happening in Preston, it feels to me as if we're going to survive this. I think there's a lot of, it's very worrying times, and we know that the unemployment rates have already gone up, and we are already a poor city. But I think from what I'm seeing, I'm seeing the kind of positive side of things at the moment. I really feel that if we all, carry on pulling together, we can get through this. The conversations that I'm involved with, people are thinking outside the box and realizing that this kind of collaborative way of working is really going to it's going to be the thing that kind of helps us to get through this in the long term.
Well, perfect. I mean, that's exactly what I'm curious about. It's like, what difference does the culture you've built make to somebody like yourself, to a business like yours, as you hear or maybe compare your story to people in other parts of the country?
Yeah, I think because there's been a kind of tendency for people to start talking here and businesses to start working together, we've been working more closely now with the church. We'd never really worked with church before. I'd never really thought about working with church. That's been great. We're working with a lot more closely now with the Gateway Housing Association that you know, and we've been running courses for them, online courses. And I want to point out the other thing that's happened as well. This situation has really highlighted some of the problems that we weren't aware of. So certainly people, elderly people and people with mental health problems who have been struggling for a long time, we've been able to identify them. They've kind of been through working closely with these organisations, we've been able to identify some of the issues and address them. So people that have been struggling for years are now getting support. So they get support from us in terms of food, they get support from mental health organisations, from Age Concern, from the Housing Association. So there's a lot of really positive outcomes that I think will continue.
Can you tell us how many, or roughly, how many lives would you say you're touching in Lancashire today? If you think, and who would they be? What kinds of people is your work affecting or touching right now?
So we're trying to make good local healthy food affordable and accessible to people in disadvantaged communities without farmers and producers bearing the cost. So we've been doing the emergency phase where we had a lot of people every day, about 100 people every day. And now we're trying to look at the bigger picture. We have now cheap food that is about to flood our markets, and we really want to try and protect our farmers and producers. And so we want to give people an opportunity to understand a little bit about where the food's coming from and what that means. And so we're working with quite a lot of people, including the New Economic Foundation, to look at ways that we can make the same food that everybody else is getting affordable and available to people regardless of their income.
Last thoughts, I think, goes back to this question of community wealth building. And what is it to you? What do you think this idea means to you, and what difference has it made to your work so far?
It's about empowering people and giving them an opportunity to get work or to start their own business or to find a way of being able to become independent. So what we're doing at the moment is we're trying to help people get into work by providing them with qualifications and work experience here. And through that, empower people so that it might not be necessarily catering that they go into, but then it's giving them the confidence to get into work, into other areas. The other thing that we're wanting to do here is we have space here, and particularly in the evenings, there's a lot of people who have lost their jobs. We have a lot of people who are in the hospitality industry, have lost jobs, who may have considered working for themselves, and we want to give them an opportunity to use this space and our expertise to try that out. So we're doing it in a kind of small way, but we're actually doing it in a very practical way. And then over time and through the organisations that we're working with, we'll hopefully be able to build that up and run more courses and really try to sort of adapt our services to be able to kind of be whatever we need to be.